So today hopefully we will have a lot of stories around.
Yes, sir. So, the difficult task for me, right on the topic I asked you to speak. But I have prepared something and discuss with you.
For philosophy people, everything is philosophical. It's very simple.
Yes, sir. Everything is philosophical.
So everything should become simple for you.
Yes, sir.
So it's 4. Shall we start?
Yes, sir. This is 4. I think we should start.
We should start. So I will give some intro probably, then
Yes, sir.
you can start. It's a beautiful topic suggested by Jayanti Sahu. It's an informal group, so we don't have welcome. Nothing is to be there. I think we should just chat. That is what is more essential. There are great mythological stories available across the world. Maybe one of the best contributors of mythological stories could be India, Greek.
Yes.
These are the only two. So probably when you compare stories around India and maybe somewhere in Greek, you will see a lot of comparisons possible for you. If somebody is really interested to learn and study, there are a lot of things that can be done by comparing Hindu, Indian mythology with the Greek mythology. I think that's one academic contribution. Any satsang, though it is too informal, I am sure there are a lot of things which can trigger sometimes some researchers to get into deeper and deeper. I don't know how many of you know that we have the Kaliya Mardana picture, which is very famous. There is an equivalent one in Greek. You can go and find all this. The Shiva, how happily he is meditating. If you can look at the Greek mythology, you can have comparative structure, comparative postures, comparative stories on this. So mythology is sometimes which shows some symbolic representation, probably which will stay in somebody's mind for longer time, and we can have a lot of comparisons. If you look at biology, the evolution of things around the world, there are a lot of stories which you can learn from mythology into science of evolution, like our Malsya Kurma Varaham. These are all Purana stories. I hope everybody knows mythology is basically Puranas. But Puranas have taken all its root from the Veda, Upanishads, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, etc. etc. So, if you look at some stories, the bibliographical story may take some cue, but they must have distorted and then used it. In Indian mythology, one of the richest, which must have contributed to our culture and which enriched our life pattern, because we draw a lot of lessons from mythology. The scriptures which are available to us have given us huge contribution, and we know when somebody talk about some other person, she is like a devata or he is like a devata, the word devata itself is a mythological terminology. So you understand the terminologies in mythology, that itself is a great lesson. Like we have Asura. Asura is a character now. Though it was a character in mythology, it is identified as a character or behavior pattern which we have in our psychological patterns. Therefore, avatar, when we say, all avatars are traditional. And Rishi who has got a great vision, a visionary is called a Rishi. But in our mythology, the poet has got a higher grade than Rishi. The Rishi has got a drishta. Drishta means you can see something which is higher. But Vatmiki and Vyasa are the greatest. Though they have the vision to see things, they did not become rishis. They become higher than rishi. We call them as poet only. So who is higher? Poet is much higher than rishis. That is because the rishis can visualize, but poets can also write it down, and also he can give creations out of it. One is visualization and another one is creating something out of your visualization. So poets had this great ability, and we have to totally dedicate anything which we learn in this category of mythology to those poets. Basically Ramayana and Mahabharata, that means Vatmiki and Vyasa. So when we talk about mythology, we cannot forget poets. Anybody who creates knowledge is one who has a drashta and srashta. Whoever is do this activity of srishti, who is creating, he is equivalent to God. So as per our mythological concepts, all poets are equivalent to God. If you have some philosophy inside you, and if you have some atmiyata inside you, spirituality inside you, and you have done some knowledge study in Puranas, that is mythology, definitely you will become a poet. Though you write a small sentence, it will become poetical. One of the greatest example of a person who wrote not great poetry, but anything which he writes, he has got poetry inside, is Swami Vivekananda. Because each one of its quote is poetry. I know a lot of literature experts who have done research on understanding the poetical aspects in the quotations of Vivekananda. That is because he understood word by word. If you want to use words so fluently, eloquently, lavishly, I'm sure you should have good vocabulary, and that is abundance available in our mythological field. The word bhumika, the word the sharpness, the surga, naraga, brahma, all these words have got huge meaning. In different context we have different meaning. So each day we use, because of COVID we are in naraka. Actually that naraka is not at all a word in English or whichever language you have. That's a mythological concept. So Veda, the Yuga concept, the avatar, the long term of time, immediately we will say it look like a great Yuga for me. That is either good or bad. So we have Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Based on that we start. And one of the greatest contribution, all the poets were scientists basically in the tradition, because everything was written in poetry. All of our inventions. Tomorrow I have a session on Indian scientific heritage of India for a Sanskrit group of people. So there I am sure any formula which we learned, anything what we express were in terms of poetry. That poetry has got a greater advantage because it stays in your mind for longer time. If you look at the Surya Siddhanta, and if you look at Aryabhatiya, everything was poetry. The Leelavati, everything, you take everything, it is in poetry. So science, maths, physics were poetries. Probably what happened to our poets later part of the time, when the poets turn into explaining only the beauty of nature, beauty of ladies, love, all that scientific thoughts have gone from them. Therefore, we lost the science. That is one of the biggest problem. So, if every poet is a scientist, or scientist is a poet, or philosophers are great leaders, I am sure the world will keep lot of moral, lot of culture which will contribute into this. If you take one example of Matsya Purana, you have a great story in which somebody has got 62 daughters and 27 of them married to Chandra. You will hear such stories. You must understand it is totally symbolic. Chandra is moon. Though that point of time people never identified it as a satellite, but today we identify as a satellite. And 27 daughters are all 27 stars. So today in this context, when you read that Matsya Purana, you can see a lot of cosmology, lot of science, lot of astronomy inside that. So the inventions of our great Purana, though the Purana is just called myth by general people, the Bharatiya, Indian, Hindu mythology is never a myth, a very superficial story. It had deep meaning, it had deep science, it had lot of knowledge within that, and therefore if somebody is very serious, they are supposed to learn this very carefully. So if either you are from philosophy or from spirituality or from science, I'm sure you have great things to learn. Either it can be a battle which is described, or it can be a story which can be told to a student or to a small children from the grandma. The mythology has got lot of science within that, value system added to that, the cultural addition to that. This is what I wanted to tell you in general. I hope most of the people who joined are aware of the base for all these Puranas and Idihasas. If not, probably I will add only few words. Is it required? Sahu or somebody can comment. You want some basics of our Vedic structure, how it is related to our Puranas, mythology. Anybody wants? Or is it understood? Unmute if you want to speak.
Yes, sir, we want.
Yeah, then I will give you a general, very fast, quick through. Basically, knowledge is Veda. Veda is knowledge. Vedas are written in Sanskrit. Therefore, Sanskrit means which is cultured. Samskriti itself is culturing. So it is a totally cultured activity which has happened. It has refined itself into the purest of the pure. Because it is refined into the purest of the pure, what happened to our Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda? Maybe Atharva Veda also I can be added. If these three Vedas and the little added Veda probably, or the traditional unpurified Veda which is called Atharva Veda, all of them have got a great abstract inside because it is purified. It is like a synopsis in a thesis. You will not understand the synopsis. Unless you are a person who learned that subject, you cannot understand. Therefore, Veda cannot be understood by people as it is. It's like a concretized, condensed, densified syllabus. Only syllabus. So you don't understand the whole content if you don't look at the subsidiary books and books written by many people. So what has happened? People started practicing it by listening to the gurus. Such practices are the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are those people who practice this. And the Brahmanyas are those texts which are used by these practitioners. So we have Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda. For all of them, we have Brahmanas written or associated with that. So that is the practical aspect of the theoretical Vedic part. And then we had doubts by children, doubt by people, seeing it, listening to that. They are not able to follow the whole thing. They started coming back to the Guru to understand each and every part of it. Therefore, we had lot of small gates or supplementary textbooks available. Those are called Upanishads. Therefore, we have Upanishads for all the Vedas. Yajurveda, Shukla Upanishad is there, and we have got Upanishad for Krishna. Yajurveda Upanishad is there. We have Samaveda Upanishad. We have, and all of them are hundreds of them. And that is also not good enough. They wanted to make it little diluted as part of Shiksha, Niruktam, Vyagaranam, Chandashastram, Kalpashastram, Tarkashastram, Jyotisham. So which are actually useful as it is to human. So it is in terms of treatment, it is in terms of war, it is in terms of predicting the future, it is in terms of understanding the rituals which is supposed to be done. The Kalpashastram and all is such things which came out. The yajnas, yagas and all this inside that. So having understood that, then people started looking at a subsidiary part of knowledge which are called Upavedas. So we have got lot of Upavedas, Dhanurvedam, Ayurvedam, Gandharva Vedam, and Arthashastram. All these are part of that Upavedas. That is also not enough, because people are still not able to understand the content inside that. Therefore, what happened? The one of the best contributor could be Shiva himself. Most of the Puranas, if you look at it, you will see Shiva was telling that as a story to Sita, because Sita did not understand most of the Vedas as it is. So these stories which are told, so therefore it is story. So when you have stories, there are a lot of, you don't put only the caricature, you add a lot of things. When somebody is asked to draw a flower, you are not going to draw flower. You will also draw a flower vase, and you will also draw some leaves, and you will also put some furnitures around it to make it more beautiful and appealing. Therefore, many things were added together. Therefore, Mahapuranas and Puranas came, like Vishnu Purana, Agni Purana, Matsya Purana, Vamana Purana, Padma Purana, and what not. For every individual people who had got a larger role in our Vedas, they all found Puranas and Upapuranas. But then people thought there is something is losing from this. Therefore, what they did, they started putting more of philosophy. The Darshana, Nyaya Shastram, Sankhya Shastram, explaining it more logically, to think that, yeah, these Puranas are logical because of this reason, this reason, this reason. So it is not actually, you are not again filtering the stories to find the content inside that, because you lost the original Veda touch. That could be one of the reasons. Because we always had a lot of poets who wrote these, they were lost, but the interpreters started interpreting it in their own style. Therefore, we have Vyakhyanas, commentaries. They are not critics, they are interpreters of the stories. So they had a lot of darshanas. And that is how we have a lot of things written around darshanas. And we have Smriti and Shruti. Some of them were documented, some of them were not heard, only heard. Something were documented, something were not documented, something were authentic, something could have been twisted in between. Therefore, two branches came. So we have Manusmriti, and that context of time, how it is to be applied for the social life. So it is more society oriented, more political oriented. Such things were also there. With all these, people were not sufficiently understanding what is the essential thing to be followed, or maybe in between or prior to that, somewhere, we don't know exactly the origin of Valmiki Ramayana or Vyasa Mahabharata. Both came, and they are actually the Idihasas. And these Idihasas and Puranas, when you write and read, there can be lot of versions available. So most of the Hindu stories which we learn about the people and the avatars and the rituals and all that belongs to one single terminology, which we call it as mythology now. So anything you know in Hindu, any part of that you can speak, that becomes Hindu mythology. So I think everybody should contribute to this, because there are a lot of people who know this, but these are all reminders. All our satsang are reminders. I think I'll speak for 15 minutes. I took 3 more minutes extra. Probably the 10 minutes, I thought I will first talk about this and then 5 minutes, but because the Veda things were added, I took little more time. So this is as an introduction I want to tell you. Probably after listening, we will all add some value to our learning through this. Everybody should become volunteers. I think we are a group of people who are interested in this and seriously wanted to discuss this. That is what, and when you discuss, probably we will invent ourselves most of the things. Okay, so pranams to each one of you. We have a good gathering today. 16 people are there. I think all of you can come on to video also, because it's not a huge traffic for all of us today. Because of this COVID, there are a lot of things which happened in most of the web, the webinars it is being used, and therefore the data scientists have done a lot of research in reducing the data volume in these platforms, and they are the people who became more successful. I probably in this last 3 months I must have used more than 10 different variety of platforms. We find most of the time it is not that bad as it was in the beginning. So welcome to all of you. We have got great good speakers lined up. It will all become a great knowledge session. I'm 100% sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jayanti, for suggesting this wonderful topic. I was a little skeptical in the beginning, but it's a beautiful topic, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, who is going to start?
Yeah, you are the person to start. Or maybe if somebody else volunteer is there, they can. You can start. I think that will be a good start. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I am going to present a screen because
Yeah.
when you are not competent, so I have prepared a PPT. So I'll just reflect on that. Few
Yeah.
points
Fine.
below.
That's beautiful.
Yes, so I'll share that PPT.
Yeah. I think you should introduce yourself also. I am Dr. TPS and from Hyderabad. Now Jayanti Sahu is in Delhi. Yeah, her introduction is also there in the PPT itself. Fine.
Yes, sir. So can you see the PPT?
Yeah. Dr. Jayanti Sahu, Assistant Professor, Department of Philosophy, JDMC. It's a beautiful college, University of Delhi.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you giving me the opportunity to speak on the topic which I was really looking for to present you this topic. So I have a very little knowledge, but I started reading, so I know very little about the topic. So my presentation will be more focused on the philosophical explanation to the notion of mythology. So mythology is defined as a story that serves to define the fundamental worldview of a culture. Mythology plays a vital role in human life.
Non-fiction is nobody's truth. Mythology is somebody's truth. So I would like somebody to elaborate on this. What do we mean by this?
Okay.
This is the definition on the next. Yeah.
Yeah. Some more points. You can add some more points, then we will pick it up.
Some more questions. Like what, sir?
No, anything, any related to points.
Sir, your voice is.
Yeah. Yeah, please say.
Is it all from you or you want to add some more points?
This is all from me, but
Okay, then we have
I add more points later.
Anu here.
Yes, he is, I think.
Yeah, I am very much here. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear.
Okay. Namaste everyone. I'm Anusha. I'm from USA. A brief introduction about myself is that I'm a student of Dr. TPS and I'm really proud to be known so. So some of the points on Indian mythology from my side, being in the West and mainly living in the capitalist economy. For me, when I think of Indian mythology, I see business. So I'll bring the business aspect of Indian mythology here. So do any of you here see the same? Okay, I guess rather not. So how many of you here are into business? Okay, when I ask this question, the immediate answer people say is, I'm not into business. And Dr. DPS is one first person who says that he's not good at business at all. So one of the definitions of business is, if you derive profit, that means you are into business. And each of us invest our money and expect it to multiply, giving us a decent profit. This means each of us have this business mind within us. So hop onto the card to join me in this journey towards the business aspect of Indian mythology. When we talk about Indian mythology, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? Either it's Ramayana or Mahabharata. At least for me, it's Ramayana or Mahabharata. So if you go to the root cause of if we go to the root cause of all these wars in Ramayana or Mahabharata, what we see is the fight for property and hunger for power. So it all started because of the family fight for power or property. If you take Ramayana, it was because Kaikeyi wanted her son, that is Bharat, to become the king. And about Telugu Mahabharata, I need not even tell you why it all started. Here, all the actions were driven by the emotions. Now, if we look at the way the Indians believe about wealth, what primarily comes to us is investment in gold. Again, why I am talking about gold is because it is such a metal which was given a lot of importance in our Indian mythology. Our emotional connection to the Indian mythology has actually driven by our action to accumulate more and more gold. So, for example, I'll take Ramayana as a reference, since we have a lot of places in Ramayana where the significance or importance of gold has been mentioned. So, when we take the birth of Sita, right? So, it is said that Janak had actually used a golden plough in order to plough a sacred field from which the Sita, goddess Sita, emerged. And when Sita was going for Vanvas along with Ram, she wanted to remove all her ornaments and wanted to be a hermit like her husband. And as she was removing her gold ornaments, all the people of Ayodhya say that it is inauspicious. That is, it is amangal. That the daughter-in-law of the house will remove gold. Again, here we suddenly realize that even in Ramayana, a woman wearing gold is considered the symbol of auspicious, and removing gold was inauspicious. So Kaikeyi removing gold was inauspicious, that is amangal, and Sita wearing gold was auspicious, that was mangal. So gold has always been, attached with this mangal concept. So that is the reason we see all our Indian women, including all of us here, wear or purchase so much of gold and all that. So again, later part in Ramayana, we hear about this golden deer which Sita desires. And again, when she was abducted by Ravan, she removes her gold ornaments and drops it on the floor to show the path to Ram. So Ram knows where she is taken, and in the southern direction, obviously, that we were told. So the trail to Sita was again marked by gold. And again, finally in the Ramayana, when Sita is abandoned, following public gossip, Ram wanted to establish the fact that he is supposed to do so because of the royal rules, importance of giving importance to royal reputation, but he doesn't doubt his wife's purity. So what he does is he makes an image of Sita using gold, which was also called Kanak Sita or Kanak Janaki, and he does all those ritual things, although keeping the Kanak Sita beside him. So I just took the Ramayana reference here, but this way we can find the references to the importance of gold even in our other stories of Indian mythology. So again, the reason why I have taken a gold reference here is that to show you that our behavior is actually based on our belief system. So our belief system translates to our behavior, and our behavior pattern actually uh, is deriving us towards the business. So jaisa Vishwas, vaisa Vyavhar. Jaisa Vyavhar, vaisa Vyapar. And again, in Indian context, we cannot separate our actions and emotions. So actions are the physical manifestation of these emotions. We cannot measure emotions, but we can only measure actions. I live in the Western world, and here, like, emotions are considered to be the behavior of a person. Whereas in Indian thought process, we believe that emotions and behavior are different. So we call behavior in our Sanskrit as sagun. Sagun means which is measurable. Whereas emotions we call it as nirgun. Nirgun means non-measurable. And again, these are some of the references from Indian mythology, and again, like, fundamental question, what we think about life is, when we think about life, again, there is a concept of death which is associated with life. So if I ask a question, how many of us have actually planned for our death? I'm pretty sure the answer would be like none of us would have planned for it. So, so when I was actually looking at one of the stories from this Indian mythology, so I came across this moment when in Mahabharata, when Yaksha asked Yudhishthira, what is the greatest wonder in the world? And Yudhishthira says, every day people die and rest of us think that they are immortal. So this was written over 2000 years ago. It was true then, it is true now, and it will be true 2000 years later as well. So again, I have taken just a few examples to quote to show you that, whichever problems we see now have already been dealt in our Indian mythology, which is like a Kamdeva that provides us with many such lessons and many such solutions. So this is a small or large, I don't know. So these are small references from Indian mythology, which I just wanted to discuss. So yeah.
I think Jayanti Sahu will have some comments. You are unmute.
Actually, yes, definitely, because it's as I said that many interpretations, many things possible, but we always try that because Indian philosophy and Indian mythology, the most important thing, as you said, that philosophical aspect and spiritualism. And many things, if we do not see from the spiritual angle, that it might be a chance of misinterpreting it, because if you see Ramayana, always our mythology trying to show few things, that one good aspects of life and one bad aspects of the life, and what desire does, and what the self tells. The two things in us, as we find in Kenopanishad also, two simile of the two birds, that one is eating the fruits and one is watching the witness consciousness. So that is what always, that there is a tussle, and that is what happened with Kaki, that he had a desire for something to give the power to his son. So this, when it comes, and everybody is having, like Kaki, everybody is having the desire for power, that, and but that is a secondary thing so far as the Indian mind is concerned or Indian mythology is concerned, and that is what the Bhagavad Gita also said that, and dharma, the notion of, so many things are interrelated, dharma, karma, and the immortality of the soul, and yes, she said that many people like Yaksha and Yudhishthira wala example she said, but nobody really said that we are immortal. We try to say that immortality of the soul never dies, because soul is something which is not included within your mind and body. Soul is something which is pure. It is simply a witness consciousness. If we go by Hindu mythology, it doesn't involve with the bodily soul or bodily self, which is epistemological in nature, which has a beginning and which has an end. So that is how that it all depends that how you interpret the thing. One can be interpret in a negative way, one can be interpret in a positive way. So that is what happening in the ideological battles. So many things are being interpreted, misinterpreted. Interpretation is good and misinterpretation is always bad, and that is what the problems in the society arises. And I agree with her that we always have that in the early Vedas also desire for wealth. The matter has never been discarded or rejected by the Indian minds, but it has never been a primary importance in the life. So that is always under the parameter, it is the parameter of Purusartha, Dharma, Artha and Kama. So Dharma is in the beginning, which controls the business, that Artha and Kama, and prepares a ground for moksha and liberation. And that is what I have to say, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but I am sure when we talk about Krishna or Bhagavatam, we have ornaments for Krishna from top to bottom.
Yes, sir.
That is a great description. Every statue is created without anything. It's naked form, god or goddesses. But no priest does puja without decorating.
Yes, sir.
The best of the best gold. Padmanabha Swami temple has got maybe the largest gold today, because the whole statue, which is too huge, is decorated with full of gold. When Panchaloha Vigraha is made, it is one of the costliest. We don't make it out of granite just like that, because there are two parts. The desire, whether we have got beautiful statues in the temple, all of them are naked statues. That is, if you have any desire, that has to be ignored and satisfied both. That is what is being told. So the death and life, we know that every moment we have death in front of us, because any moment we can go off. But Yaksha Prashna immediately says, Nityavum Jivajalangal Kalanurku Kadakave Sheshipor Stiramennorku Yendashcharyamidil Param. What is the greatest wonder in the world? When somebody is dying in front of you, you think that you are still here in this world for longer time. That is the biggest surprise, because you don't know when you are going. That is what happened during the Bhagavatam. The 7 days of life was given to Parikshit. He said, I want to listen to the best stories of Krishna, and then he asked, and everybody around him were crying. He asked a question, why are you crying? Then everybody said, we don't know, no, you are dying in 7 days. You know, Parikshit asked a reverse question, do you know when you are going to die? Nobody knows when they are going to die. So I have a guaranteed 7 days. You don't even have a guarantee for a next moment. So everybody lives in this world thinking that we are here forever, even when we see somebody goes from us. So there is a lot of lesson from these. I am sure God would have been created, or the pictures would have been created, or the Ramayana or Mahabharata would have been omitted decorations, ornaments and all that. So they want both materialistic and spiritual clubbed together. Why ever every kings and every gods and goddesses have got a lot of decorations around them, except probably few like Shiva and Ganesha also has got a huge number of ornaments around him. So we don't want to see our God poor. We want our God to be rich. Why? Because we also want to become rich. So being rich is never discarded from being spiritual. You can be rich and spiritual. You can only give when you have. So when Kama, Artha, Moksha, everything says we have to have all these Purusharthas. So my desire has to be there. Satisfy your desire. Don't discard them. But don't become over selfish. Bandham is different from bandhanam. Attachment is different from bondage. Without that also I can live, but I have it. That is why our upavasa is not doing upavasa when you are starving. When you have food, don't eat. Then only that can be called upavasa. Otherwise, every person who is starving is doing upavasa. We don't call it as a ritualistic upavasa. So it has to be seen highly philosophical concept in Bharatiya Puranas. Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Yes, sir.
Well added. Anu has done a good job of adding a different dimension to the whole story, which made all of us to raise our eyebrow and think. Yeah.
One scientific reason for having gold is that it is the best conductor.
Yeah, there are better than gold, but it is much more costlier. I don't know whether God used only gold. They must have used many other metals also, but probably diamond was there. Now
And stone, various costly stones.
maybe platinum is one of the costliest. We don't know whether gods used that platinum or not. Maybe it's there somewhere, but they must not have displayed it. They must have hidden inside also. Who knows?
Availability matters.
Yeah, available non-rusting, ever glittering gold.
It has the property of being the best conductor. So it will
Yeah.
absorb a lot of positive energy.
It can absorb a lot of energy. It can also give you a lot of energy.
So
Yeah.
that was the one positive aspect.
One of the best aspect is that. That is why people would have used gold. If you use gold ornaments, at least a ring, and then start cooking, I know that your hand will get heated up because of that. That's why ladies should use less number of gold ornaments if they are cooking.
All the ladies will be against you if you say this statement.
No, sir, I completely agree with you. I don't use golden ornaments, so I completely agree with you.
No, rich people don't display it. They keep it inside. That's the best investment. They will be in some lockers.
No, sir, I don't
They
purchase.
don't probably want it.
Yeah, mortgaged.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, is there any scientific reason to wear gold ornaments, buttons, and all these things?
That is what Gandhi told just now. The ornaments are actually highly positive, not ornaments alone. Most of the stones which you are using, like gemology, where you can get rid of many of the problems because of the different magnetic, astronomical, astrological effects on each individual. So that is like when you give Ayurvedic medicine, we say we have to mix with honey. So most of the gems have got a prescription, whether it has to be mixed with gold, whether you have to use the gold cover around it or a silver cover around it or copper cover around it sometime. So it has got an attachment. So gold, silver, copper, most of the stones, all of them have got a higher potential ability to absorb energy and distribute as and when it is really required.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I continue?
Yeah, continue.
Sir, I actually wanted to say that it is not only that the mythological stories have an impact on the culture and definitely the culture of the society and all, but also it brings the mindset of the persons, of the individuals. Okay. So, hearing these stories, we are affected by in a way that trains the interpersonal relationships and that trains the attitudes we're going to have towards one another. Okay, so that creates the value system. So sometimes it affects in such a way that we either get the strength or we either get the strength to move with positive values, and also sometimes it happens like we are so much deeply engrossed in such stories that we forget about the effort we are supposed to give, and we have the negative ideas also about certain of our certain individuals in the way that like say the men-women relationship in the society, the genderization aspect also, this also might be coming or having its source in somewhere in the story. So what I want to say is that the psychological framework, the value systems, these are always not affected in a positive way through these stories. So we also have all the value systems are not created in a positive way before us. And definitely these mythologies have an impact. These are considered to be the source of these. So can you please comment?
Yeah, it's another good view on whether you have to bring up your child by showing only good things, not showing anything. What is bad and good is anyway relative. What should be shown at some point of time and what should not be shown at some point of time. Should we categorize things or should we expose to the world so that they understand what is good and bad with their practices? Are they matured enough to know that? We believe that everybody who is matured can look at everything around this world as they become more matured. Otherwise, they are under the control of adults where they can give sufficient adult, not biological. In the behavior pattern, they become self-sufficient to understand what is to be shown, what is not to be shown, what is to be created. That is what we call it as value system. That is determined by the society actually. So in Bharatiya Sankalpam, we have all these shown. That is what one of the example what I said. When you go to temple, you will see lot of naked statues. But I am sure your attention is not on that. Even they are available, you don't look at them, but there is somebody else which is totally in dark, but still you will with a lot of difficulty you look into the temple to see what is there. That means there is something in God much beyond all these emotional temptations which are all in your indriya or the manas. What is inside you in the Atma level is much higher than the indriya and the mind and the intellect, the manas and the buddhi. We have to go beyond that. That is the lesson I think our mythology is giving us. That is why the society is open to everything. We don't have the ritualistic class of Saturday, Sunday or maybe Friday classes to tell what is that. We are free. You look at everything and learn as you want. It is up to you to decide what you want to take. Good and bad is relative. Everything is good and everything is bad. But where, when, why, how, in front of whom, who is doing, all that matters. So that categorization is very clear in our mythology. What is done by Krishna at one point of time is, though it is not right, but that point of time it is the right thing. We can see a lot of such fault which Krishna does during the war. Maybe many stories will tell you a different concept because it's all with this WWWHW. With that pretext only we must understand what is good and bad.
Sir, but I'm talking of a wider framework. I was talking of the, say, patriarchal structure of the society. So that is also, structure which was basically might be framed by these mythology, or definitely the mythologies have a part to play in constructing this patriarchal structure of the society, which you cannot avoid. You can definitely interpret, or you can reflect on things as good or bad according to your own values. But the wider structure, wider framework of the society is also something which was structured or created by these stories. Okay, so sir, can you say something?
100%. Because no society lives without a structure, without no distinction from one position to another position, one job to other job. So all these divisions are directly shown. Otherwise, every person should have become Maharathas, but they categorized, some people are Mahabharata, some people are not that important, some people are minor soldiers. So this is a story created by somebody representing society. Everything has to be there. See, there is a beautiful story between Rama and Sita. Sita asked Rama, you are the god, you are the king. Why do you want your people to suffer? Every praja and you are the raja. The definition of praja itself, they are kids. Why do you want your kids to suffer? Raja is the guardian and praja is the kids. So why do you want your praja to suffer? Why can't you make them happy all the time? Then Rama said, no, there has to be all these problems what Arunima says. No, there has to be categorization, there has to be problems, there has to be thief, there has to be police. Otherwise society will not remain. Everything which you call it as good and bad structure, everything has to be there. Immediately, Sita kept on requesting Rama. Then Rama said, Tadastu, let it be like that. Everybody let them be happy. Whether they go for work or not, they get salary. Everybody is happy because they have sufficient food in their house, sufficient things at home. But one day the palace was leaking. Then nobody was coming for work. Then Sita asked why you are not able to get some people to do this job. They said, you only said everybody has to become happy without doing their job also. Then Sita said, no, this is not the way. We want every category here, every structure here, different people are required. So Rama said, I was only keeping you in an illusionary world. This is what will happen. The world has got all the problems. Probably when you read the first part of Ramayana, you think today's world is much better than the time when Rama was alive.
Sir, I would like to say something here.
Yeah.
Sir, we have a tradition of which says that even though we go by Mahayana Buddhism and other traditions also, they always talk about that happiness in relation to suffering. So it has to be there. Happiness can be understood. If there is no suffering, then there is no happiness. So, like Nagarjuna said, na sansarasya nirvanat kinchit asti visheshanam, na nirvanat sansarasya kinchit asti visheshanam. जहाँ संसार है, जहाँ डिजायर है, जहाँ दुख है, वहीं सुख है और निर्वाण है. So it is a part and parcel life. But what Nirima said, that is always there, but that is created by the mind. Even Descartes said some ideas of good and bad, something is something innate, inborn qualities of the man. So the mind has both the qualities, that good and bad. You don't have to teach the child this is good and this is bad. You don't have to teach the child that God is there or God is not there. They will learn themselves. That is what the rationalist standpoint, that Descartes is said to be the father of modern European philosophy. He said all things are inborn, innate in nature. That is what, so good and bad you don't have to teach the child or teach the people. It all created by the mind. That is what, so Indian mind also believes that. Mind is the culprit of it. And that is how the patriarchy generated and continued for till now also. It is continued for I don't know.
See, who is the saddest woman in Mahabharata, if you ask? You have only two characters who are the best mothers. Gandhari is also a very good mother. Kundi is also a good mother. But what Kundi wanted was only unhappiness. She asked only dukkham.
Yes, sir.
Because she said, only when I have dukkham, I will remember you. When I remember you, you will come, then only I will feel happy. So even for a dukkham, there is a underlying sukham inside that. Every ladies know that the delivery is a big painful job. But why people aspire to have children and then take that pain? Because that pain itself is a happiness. Bringing up a child is not that simple. But that itself is a great happiness.
Sir, actually, I was more trying to talk about this suffering and happiness and all.
No, I understood. That interpretation was given by Jayanti, so I was continuing on that. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I wanted to say about the power play. I wanted to say the role, the gender roles played by men and women in the society. It is as if women has a particular role and men has another role. This also is derived from this role.
That is all interpretations. No, that is what we had earlier. We had a greater, see the yaga, yajna, when it is the beginning of all the pujas which is happening today. One of the biggest mythological aspect is puja, which happens in the temples and the rituals. Today we have only gents to do that, but traditionally yaga, yajna never happens without an ejamani. Brahmin cannot do puja when they are not with God. See, you tell me with mythology, which mythology has got, other than Indian mythology, which god concept has prefixing the name of the lover girl Radha in front of Krishna, not even suffixing. Sita Rama, Radha Krishna. So the importance for goddesses are much greater than God in Indian mythology. The Kali concept, it says Kali is more powerful than Shiva. So maybe there are two aspects in our rituals. One is Anushtana, the another one is called Achara. Anushtana is the basic in which Acharas are created. The Achara keeps changing based on the place. Anushtana remains same. The basic principle remains same. But you may cook it in different style in different places. That cooking has changed from northeast to southwest Kerala. If you look at the concept, it is entirely different. Northeast people, ladies are more powerful. But southwest, the dowry system is the gents get money from the lady side. Northeast, it is the reverse. So that itself shows there is no strict rule. It's all decided by the local people.
Then we have with us Prerna ji and Lakshmi Bhatt, one of my friends. She is very good in Hindu mythology.
They have to speak. Yeah, welcome.
Lakshmi, would you like to say something? Lakshmi, can you hear me?
Hello, Jayanti. Hi.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Lakshmi, आप कुछ बताइए.
Hello. I have come here to learn something, to listen something.
Sir, इन्होंने
I'm Dr. Lakshmi Vatsa, sir. I'm Dr. Lakshmi Vatsa, teaching philosophy in Matasundri College, Delhi University.
So you should throw some stone. Then vibrations will come. The waves comes only when you throw something.
I wanted to say, when you were talking about the story of Sita and Ram, मेरे को ये ख्याल आया कि one more story you can talk about here, like when Gandhari asked Krishna, you could have stopped this fight. ये जो युद्ध हुआ, आप छोड़ सकते थे, आप इसको रोक सकते थे. But he said, it was not in my hand. मेरे हाथ में नहीं था, ये तो होनी थी, ये तो ऐसा होना था, something which is beyond my say. So कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जो होती हैं जिनको रोकना मुश्किल है. इवन गॉड के लिए भी रोकना मुश्किल है.
Yeah, there is somebody beyond God who is called Vidhata.
होनी, he said होनी थी.
Sir, I just add something regarding mythology, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So myself, Bhavani Sohoria from Assam, Moridhal College. So I am hearing all the lectures regarding mythology, and I am quite surprised about Jayanti ma'am and all of you. So thank you. But I highlighted some things on mythology, that we find mythology is always not only related to our belief systems or belief customs only, but in some mythology, like Kaliyodamon, all of we aware about this. So in my point, in Kaliyodamon, there is environmental concerns in mythology also. Some very important issues are there, how we protect our environment. Lord Krishna, I think Lord Krishna deals with this to clean the river actually, where is the pollution and all. The Nagas lived there and lots of poisoners are there. So general people could not use the water. So it is also some information regarding how we protect our environment. So it is the good information to us also through mythology that we should protect our environment. So in lots of mythologies we find behind the stories there are some scientific and environmental concerns are there. So this is my point, sir. Is it?
Yeah.
Am I clear?
There are quite a lot of environment which is dealt, how to live in the society with mixing with that. We had such a lot of stories. Probably all the kings went to forest. They could have asked somebody else to go and bring whatever they want, but they go to forest.
Yeah.
That's part of their activity. It is not just for you have to. There are a lot of you look at all the temples. Every temple has got a big water tank around it. Highly environmental. There are two activities which are required to get a Sanatana Dharma definition. One is called the Ishta Karma, second is called the Purta Karma. There are a lot of lectures which already there on YouTube from me on Ishta Purta. Ishta Karma is the rituals which you do to satisfy yourself. Purta Karma is what you do for society. All of them are environmental. Vapi Kupa Tadakani Devatanayana cha Anna Pradana Mudyanam Purtam Mityabhidiyade. That is the definition. Vapi Kupam. Vapi is well. Kupam is tank. Tadakam is big tank. Vapi Kupa Tadakani Devatanayana cha. And you should have forest. Plant some trees. Annapradana Mudyanam. What sort of tree you have to plant? Which gives you fruits. Annapradana Mudyanam. If you do that, Ishtade Labate Surgam Purte Moksham Avapniyat. If you do the ritualistic karma to go to temple, do puja, do bhajans, do nama, japa and all that, you will Ishtade Labate Surgam. You go to Surga. Purte moksham avapniyat. If you do purta karma, you get moksha. Salvation you will get. So environment was part of our ritual to get you salvation. That means what you do is not for you, for somebody else you do, and preserve that. And what are the trees to be planted is also explained. It's a beautiful science. Environment science is part of the whole rituals. 100%. That's part of mythology.
They talk about people tree also, sir.
Yeah, in that 23 tree, there are different trees to be planted. Ashwathamegam. You are prompting me to say, otherwise I thought I will stop. Ashwathamegam Vijubandamegam Dashadindranischa Kavitwa Bilwa Malagatrayascha Panjamranali Naragam Nayavi. You can plant one people tree, but plant 5 coconut trees. Because people tree occupies large area. If somebody prescribe you plant 100 people tree finished, it will become Kathmandu. Therefore, that said, one people tree for one village is good enough.
Yes.
That will give you beautiful oxygen, de-densified oxygen. But then what you should have is lot of fruit trees, which in Sanskrit what is prescribed, I don't know the English translation. But in that, tamarind tree is there, coconut tree is there. So that means everything what is useful for you to eat, that you should plant, not for you. When you plant one tree of mango, you are feeding many other animals and flies and worms and everything around, no?
Yes, yes.
So even Bhudayatnam was part of our daily ritual. Bhudayatnam is every small creature other than human being is also called Bhudam. invisible. The invisible microbes also is part of Bhudam. So you have to do that yetna. That is also considered. Feeding them is one of the yetna.
Sir, they worship also people tree when.
Yeah. There are lot of rituals.
Yes.
People is called Al, and mango is called Mav. Al plus Mav together is Atmav. Mulado Brahmarupaya, Madhyado Vishnu Rupine, Agrada Shivarupaya, Vriksha Rajayate Namaha. Mulado Brahmarupaya. So it is 3 gods together is one people tree. So the number of pradikshana which you have to do in the temple, Ekam Vinayake Kuryal, 1 pradikshana for Vinayaka, etc., etc., it goes. But 7 pradikshana for people tree. Not even Vishnu, Shiva, all of them will not get. Vishnu and Shiva together, 3 plus 4 together is for 7. So if you take 1 pradikshana around the people tree, that is much better than going to Shiva temple or Vishnu temple.
Thank you, sir.
See, another big aspect. Arunima brought some aspect. Bubhani brought some other aspect. Anu brought some different aspect. Now there was one question which Gandhi asked. I think he knows the answer. He should give the answer.
No, sir, I don't know.
See, that is what we in the beginning said. There are story, there are mythology. Mythology is always considered as highly profound story with a great message for purifying our lifestyle.
Correct.
So mythology is not a story, it is not a myth. The English word myth is used as an English translation, but this is called Purana.
Yes, sir.
The Purana is equivalent to Veda. Veda is equivalent to Purana is the oldest thing. So Veda is something new which you have to learn the latest. You go into the deep inside which is not Sanskritized. Sanskritized means which is not cultured, which you can dilute inside. That's like a decorated human being.
Correct.
If you take a bath, your all paint on the head will go. That original nature is Veda. What you put that Godrej color and all that, no, that is called Purana.
Okay.
You decorate that Veda with a lot of quality, show off inside. Glorifying that to make people to get attracted. That is what is Purana. Otherwise, I am sure we would not have had all these Vedas with us if Puranas and Idihasas were not there. Purana is totally exaggerated. Idihasa is slightly exaggerated. Veda is the actual one.
Yes.
So in mythology, the character of Rakshas is also always used like, what can I say, like, so when God is there, always there is a kind of evil is always there. So without that, it is not there. So how do you perceive that? Like Mahishasur, Durga, Mahishasur ko mare, so killed Mahishasur. Then Ravan, in Ramayana, Ravan was a very important character, and Ravan and all the people who is having the evil desires are being created. So what is that relationship between God and the demons?
See, how do you show the power of a mountain without a valley? The height of the mountain can be shown only when there is valley. Understood?
There is not any evil, then how we determine that there is God?
Yeah.
So
So,
Krishna said,
Krishna himself has become.
धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
So actually, these are all glorified feelings within us.
Yes.
The Rakshasa is inside us. You were mentioning 33 crores of God.
Yes.
It is not 33 crores. Kodi in Sanskrit means percentage.
It is good. Yes.
The percentage, 1/3 of us is God, 1/3 of us is human nature, 1/3 of us is Rakshasika nature.
Okay.
So we have to balance. Sometime, see, most of our gods have got Agradas Chaduro Veda with one hand, blessing hand. But you tell me which god doesn't have weapon behind? Everybody will not listen to nice words. You cannot take care of your children by saying that beta, you are good, you are good, you are good. There has to be somebody scolding them also.
Yes, sir.
Then only they will know, yeah, my papa is very good because he never scolds me. There has to be somebody else scolding.
Yes, sir.
See, every child in the childhood start learning, we give everything. When the child cries, immediately food is given. That is the babyhood. From babyhood go to the early childhood. That time also everybody gives everything to the child. But then the first day birthday gift, we will ask them to give a return gift. You should also learn how to give to others, not just taking. From age 1 onwards, if you don't learn how to give, they will become most selfish fellows. So there has to be somebody else who is a villain. That is what our school system teaches. The child has to fight with everybody, and then only they know how to fight in this world. So where do you learn this fighting? There has to be a villain. What is the beauty of a cinema when there is only hero and heroine dancing around? The villain has to be there. I think no Ramayana, no Mahabharata, no story written anywhere in this world has got any value without a villain. Kaikeyi is not there, then that is not there, story is not there, nothing starts there. Though he has got a Dasharatha, 10 chariots, one chariot somewhere to repair only created this problem. Correct? See, Anu was mentioning about gold. Semandagam. Semandaga is one of the best, Ratna. The big fight for Semandagam was there, no? Akrura. Akrura is the person who has, traditionally, it goes not only in Ramayana and Mahabharata is connected through various characters also inside. We know the story of Parashurama. We know the story of Karna. See, whatever you are seeing today, their characters are there in our Puranas also. The caste certificate corrected and getting a admission in colleges is very common today. We have that character in Mahabharata. Karna did that. And then he was caught. When he was caught by righteous people, the judge catches him saying that you are not correct. Immediately he changed politics. He became king. But there is a bad politician who is ready to take care of all the bad people so that they become bad politicians. So today what is in society you can see in Ramayana. Corruption can be seen. Everything has been seen. You can see. So how do you live in this world is what is being learned in the Idihasas. Who else is there? Some people are supposed to show their faces. They are not shown. Sujata TV must be from Kottayam. Yamini is there. Chinmayi is there.
Yes, I think that in my Chinmayi there. And Prerna ji I can't see. I don't know. And
Lakshmi Kanta Pathi is there. Lakshmi Kanta Pathi was supposed to speak. Some points you can add, sir.
Sir, I want to ask one thing.
Yeah.
Sir, hello.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the difference between God and Vidhata you told? Just clarify.
Yeah. Even that is what the answer Krishna gave he says, I cannot even escape from this. The Vidhata is one who determines even the line on God's head. That is beyond all of us. That is what is the dharma. The God himself is also supposed to do his dharma. That's what Krishna says. It is not me. I am being asked to do all this. That person who does, that is called a Vidhata. The Vidhi is, even that is why Krishna said, I cannot get rid of all these problems. See, we think that Krishna is the most powerful person, but many people were in his time also, people did not listen to him. Otherwise, he would have been a good manager, he would have been a good mediator.
He could have stopped killing of the Abhimanyu brothers. Abhimanyu.
Yeah. He had no control on the fate of himself. He himself died because of an arrow.
Yes.
That is because he gave an arrow in the previous Janma. So who controls the Janma of Vishnu? He was hiding and then throwing an arrow. You know the story of Bali Sugriva. If Rama did that, then definitely in the next Janma Krishna will get it back. In one Janma, there were ladies around where they wanted to marry Rama. We know the story, and he said, you go to my brother, he is better and I am dedicated to one wife. But the next Janma, he was ready for many wives. In one Janma, what Rama did, because of all that activity, Lakshmana had suffering. Otherwise, why Lakshmana could have had a beautiful family life? Sita was following Rama, but Lakshmana was, after marriage, was living with Rama for 14 years as a bachelor. Because of the brother, the younger brother had suffering. That is why in the next Janma, Krishna's elder brother, Balarama, came and started always disturbing Krishna. So one Janma you disturb your younger sister, next Janma the younger sister will take the birth of elder sister and start disturbing you. See what a great story. So who is that controlling the fate of all the gods and goddesses? You will have to end up saying Vidhata.
Sir, one avatar, Ram avatar was much better. I feel if I go by philosophical analysis, which I should not, but Ram avatar and Krishna avatar, you find a drastic difference between Ram and Krishna.
No, Satya Yuga, everybody was clean and good. Treta Yuga, little pollution only. But Dwapara Yuga, if Rama is showing that like Rama, he would have been killed by somebody. He will have no escape. He will go to forest, but he will never come back. See, in Rama's period, there was nobody who was tracking him back and all that. People still had respect. But here, there is a great opposition inside his palace itself. So, that is what is happening. So, from Yuga to Yuga to Yuga, the problems are much bigger. Therefore, you cannot create Rama in Dwapara Yuga. So, in that time, he is good. In Dwapara Yuga, Krishna is good. Now I think we should listen to Lakshmikant ji.
Yes.
Sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Good evening to everybody.
Yeah.
I was supposed to, I was supposed to speak on this platform today.
Yeah.
But because of some misinformation, I have not prepared myself. But definitely, I will speak after step.
We are too informal. This is like a satsang. That is why we called satsang. The speaker will become part of the group and start discussing.
Yeah.
And we will forget. Last time what happened, this was scheduled on 25th, some of us forgot and then nobody was there on that day and then we missed it. It's like a friends meeting only.
Okay, sir. I like this platform very much. Sir.
Yeah.
People should be informal so that informality can speak a lot.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
Somebody has to host it. So today I hosted, last time Jayanti hosted, that's it.
Yeah. In response to Jayanti's query,
Yeah.
regarding Ram and Krishna. Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
There is a difference between Rama Avatar and Krishna Avatar. Ram is Uttam, but Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Ram is always regulated by some principles and rules. But Krishna is not. Krishna is the rule breaker. And Krishna is the rule breaker. One is the rule. By breaking the rule, he is establishing dharma. And by following the rule, Ram is creating dharma. So, Maryada and because of Lalita, there is Leela. A lot of things that I can add, but because of joining in late,
No problem.
let's say
Continue.
it's a good thing. And one difference about that, Anurima was asking about that structure, sir. And beautifully, you have explained it beautifully. That every structure has its own limit. That structure is created only to show the limit. And everything is karma phala. सुपर्णखा की नाक अगर नहीं काटते तो सीता की चोरी नहीं होती. Everything is karma phala, sequential, consequential. And you are referring to Banvas. One is a place where everybody loses their meaning. One is a place, forest is, you see, in Ramayana there is, the person who is a king, who is supposed to be king in the next morning is going to Banvas. Just to see, and in Banvas what he has done, he was learning and learning. He has learned from Vasishtha. He has learned from Vishwamitra. But in Mahabharata they are not learning. They are just keeping themselves in disguise, just to show that आप राजा हो सकते हो, लेकिन वन में आप कुछ नहीं हो. The lion does not know that the Bhim is coming. I should not kill Bhim. तू होगा राजा, राजवाटी में राजा होगा, वन में you are nothing. In forest you are nothing. You don't have any meaning. You just a member of infinity. So these are the things. Mythology, as I said, sir, I am a great follower of Vivek Debrah, and he has translated Mahabharata. I mean, the abridged versions of Mahabharata, and Vivek Debrah is saying that what is the relevance of Mahabharata in the 21st century? And also in same tune, Devdas Patnaik, Rajiv Malhotra, everybody is speaking the same tune. And regarding the concept of dharma and avatar, that madam from Assam said that yada yada hi dharmasya. If there is adharma, then there is dharma. And it's very difficult to translate the word dharma into a simple term. Dharanat dharma mityahu. Sreyaskara eva dharma. Dharayati jaha saha dharma. A lot of definitions are in dharma. Even if in Mahabharata Samusasana Parva, Urdha Bahu Virognyesa Nataschit Shunati me. Dharma, Arthascha, Kamascha, Sakyamnam Satyati. I mean, Vyasa, when the Mahabharata comes to an end, Vyasa is saying that everything is gone. Now, what is dharma? Nobody, Vyasa is lamenting. Urdha Bahu Virognyesa. Do hath uthakar, he was lamenting. Then nobody is listening to me. What is dharma? The dharma is satisfaction of desire, acquisition of property. If both are dharma, then why people are not abiding dharma?
True.
These are the very, and the only thing is that these are not simple things, very difficult things. But we have to understand in a simple way, without making it complicated. And one thing, sir, which I realized for last say 17, 18 years of my teaching career, the translation of Sanskrit term, Devanagari term into English or any other language, the original meaning is lost.
Yeah, but
That is a bigger problem nowadays, sir.
yeah, that's really true. But to communicate, that is the common media which we have. I think we have no other option.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I keep saying as an example, when you say prem, in translation it becomes love, but that love is different in different context. But in English you have only one word,
True, sir.
so it really confuses.
Vatsalya.
Yeah, Vatsalya is different. But we don't have the love to mother to the child is Vatsalya. But Vatsalya also, when we translate it, becomes love only.
True, sir.
The subject and object is not made very clear. Then you will have a problem in the words in English.
Yes.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah, tell.
Am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Yeah. Again, sir, here raised the question about who create dharma. So it is also some other points of discussion. Who creates dharma? If dharma is in the highest position, then the question raised: who creates dharma?
Dharma is created again at a different level, different stage for each person, entirely different based on geographical time, age, culture. Everything changes dharma. There is individual dharma, there is a family dharma, there is a professional dharma, there is a local dharma, there is a state dharma, there is a nation dharma, there is a international dharma.
Beautiful.
And that is that said through the theory of causation, the current bird, they have established certain things because we do not have a theory of creation like Christianity and Islam has. So
We are so flexible.
yes,
We are so flexible.
yes.
See, when you go to the same Vishnu, when he is in Tirupati, he becomes a Laddu lover. But when he goes to Northeast, he will become something else. When he goes to Gujarat, he loves only jalebi. See what a man, based on situation, he changes his taste also.
And goes to Odisha, sir, rice.
Yeah, rice.
And yes, that's it.
Kerala, we will give only jaggery mixed payasam. The porridge with jaggery. But just cross to Karnataka, they will give you yellow rice. But you start giving into Kerala, people will start making fun of them. So what is dharma is all our tastes. What is your dharma is defined at where, when, what, how. What can be shown in front of somebody, what cannot be shown in front of somebody is entirely different based on your culture. What you can show in America, you cannot show in India. What you can do in front of your children cannot be, you can do it, but don't do it in front of children. So right is wrong, wrong is right in different places. A soldier can kill the other person, though the other person is so innocent, he is standing at the border. But you can see most wretched person, when he comes back to his village, he cannot kill that fellow because he is very bad. His license of killing is restricted to that place. Even a soldier cannot beat a civilian, but a police can beat. You can see the situation.
Anushasana.
Anushasana is different. So where, when, that is what I said. Where, when, why, how, in front of whom, who is doing, that also matters. Who is doing matters.
And dharma is also not created, sir.
That is
Dharma
it.
is not created.
It is there. It is.
It is Rita.
It is, yeah.
It is the moral order.
It's the law of moral order.
It is like a water flowing. Wherever it flows, it gets that name.
Yes. And And nowadays, the concept of Purushartha is also, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, that has been interpreted in a different way. Dharma means responsibility. Artha means satisfaction of desire. Yes, Artha, not, sorry. Dharma is responsibility. Artha is distribution of responsibility. Or Dharma, Kama is satisfaction of desire, and by that distribution of responsibility, the desire, the satisfaction you get is Kama, and Moksha is outgrowing your hunger.
But I define generally in the other way. You have first desire, kama.
Okay.
So satisfy that, you get artham.
Okay.
That artham you can get in two different ways. One, dharmic and adharmic.
Okay.
So you don't have to talk about the dharma alone. You have to talk about adharma also there. When somebody speaks about dharma, adharma is defined inside. And then what you get is a permanent happiness, that is called moksha.
Moksha, yeah.
I desire to have a ticket to go to Singapore. That is my desire. That is my kama. I don't have sufficient money. No problem. Somebody will sponsor it. That is artham. Sponsoring is also artham. So my knowledge, my contact, my love, my contribution, everything can be an artham. But then, if I am not getting, I steal somebody's money and then go, adharmic way of getting your artham will not give me happiness, because in Singapore also I can be caught by police. So that worry is inside. So when you talk about moksha, there is a naraka, there is a disastrous, terrible feeling of tension inside you. So everything is connected. That's the whole, what we have in today's life is what we are talking. Yeah. Yamini came on to video.
A lot of moral and philosophical meanings, sir.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to translate.
Most of these topics, I have written small articles for a association in America. It's all available in a blog.
Okay.
So Purushartha, Dr. TPS, you search, you will end up in that blog. And you put the names of different characters. Abhimanyu, Dr. TPS. Abhimanyu story is a small paragraph, maybe some 10 paragraphs it must be there. And you used to edit that nicely. So somebody read it.
There are two things I didn't like in the Mahabharata. That death of Abhimanyu and that Draupadi, these two things.
Draupadi's Apaharan?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the two things very difficult to put me in question about the dharma, and convincingly I can't say Yudhishthir was a dharmavid or something like after the Draupadi's Vastraharan. So I just can't accept this. I don't know. This Abhimanyu was, and it put a question of lot of things, that how can we say Drona as a guru, Bhishma as a pitama, and Karna as a Danavid, or he was a rational person. So would be lot of question and difficult to accept and disturb also. Many times creates disturbance in the mind.
I think all of you who has not seen Peter Brook's Mahabharata, you must at least see 2-3 times. Have you seen Peter Brook's Mahabharata?
Yeah.
No, sir.
You must. The whole concept of Mahabharata looking in a different style. It's a beautiful drama which is abridged and then made into a movie of 3 hours. 3 hours and 6 hours. 2 versions are available. So these are all sankalpas. What is depicted inside. It is not one lady marrying 5. These are all one Atma, one Manas, one Buddhi, 5 Indriyas. But you cannot describe this to a common person, so you need some stories to be made around it. So if you look at the philosophical aspect, you look at the psychological aspect, there is a lot of interpretations on Mahabharata psychologically. The psychological aspects of Bhagavad Gita, psychological aspects of Mahabharata, that will give you an entirely different style of understanding this whole concept. I am sure there is a beautiful book by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan published, Mahabharata is Unbelievable. If you have not read it, read that book. That Mahabharata is Unbelievable will tell you reasons for everything which is happening inside. There is a reason, previous Janma, next what is going to happen. The tag is given inside that. We are not able to understand. There are a lot of things. Why do you want to go up to these people? Starting from a mother killing their own children is unbelievable, no? That too like a Ganga Devi, so pure lady. How can you have such a deal with somebody else to get married and all that? So each one of them is explained beautifully. Why it happens? Because some reason in the previous Janma. That is what one of my poetry, arrow comes from shadow. The Krishna gets the arrow because of the earlier Janma, Rama gave an arrow. That's my poetry. Arrow comes from shadow.
Yes, yes.
Because Rama got 18 days of class from Vasishtha, Krishna could give that lecture to Arjuna. So sometimes teacher gives to God, God gives to student. Because the connecting factor has to happen. That's what I said. Each one has got a cause. Without cause and effect, nothing happens in the world. That's a physics principle. Cause and effect principle is a physics principle. Exactly that is mentioned in most of the stories. Tomorrow I have got a scientific, now just because you asked this question, one more point I got. I will elaborate. Cause and effect.
It's very sometimes you can't read rationally also. Sometimes Bhishma Pitama, he can't raise his voice, but he has to raise his voice. Like you can't, even I feel Vidur is much better than all the characters are like him.
See, Bhishma was like a judge in the court. Judge will not involve in anything, but he is there when somebody comes for advices. Judge is there, but why he is not telling before something happening? Only when the case file comes to him, he will tell you. That's it. Bhishma is like that. You come for an advice, we will give you. That's it. Otherwise, I am keeping quiet. That is what supposed to be old people should do. So that is why Bhishma is given the oldest life. Even Krishna did not get the. You must read my biodata of Lord Krishna. There is a. It is there. You just type Dr. TPS biodata of Lord Krishna. Nobody would have put a curriculum vitae of Lord Krishna, biodata of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, I only have written. So there is a reason for everything which happens.
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
Bhishma is made to sleep there. Probably that is the only reason why Krishna asked to go to Bhishma to get the Vishnu Sahasranama. Because Krishna himself cannot keep on praising him. He has to get somebody else to praise him. Marketing person cannot make a production. So you will see a marketing department. See, our Veda itself is like that. Rig Veda is the textbook. Yajur Veda is the practical world. Sama Veda is the marketing world. So what you see in business can be seen in our Vedic rituals also. All that references is being typed in by Anu, I think, in the chat box. The blogs and links are also there already.
I have seen just now.
Yeah.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask one thing. Nowadays, this word intolerance
is very popular
Yeah.
and associated with Hindu mythology,
Yeah.
Hinduism.
Yeah.
So, but Hinduism always talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, and why these people are associating this intolerance?
No, because I love Lakshmi as my sister, I can fight with you. You tell me, we have Shiva and Parvati fighting. We have lot of stories between the god and goddesses fighting, the god cheating his wife. All that what you see in this world is shown already in that. There is not intolerance today. We are much tolerant than those people.
Then, yes.
The god and goddesses are all created with a lot of intolerance. See the bias. Somebody, I remember long back, 20 years back, I was giving a lecture in one of the audience, and after that question answer, one parent came and asked me, my both sons are fighting just because I gave a motorbike to my elder son, younger son got another bike. I said that is what Shiva also has done. To a bulky fellow like Ganesha, he gave a small vehicle, and to another fellow who is more brilliant than him, he gave a peacock. And Shiva is having a snake, and his vehicle is bullock, and then Parvati has got another enemy to all these animals. So if you look at Shiva's house, it's like a zoo. Why that was shown? They would all given a beautiful chariot. It is not given. That is because with all the problems in your life also, with all the intolerance in your life also, you are able to do lot of service to the humanity. They have to show that. See, Krishna had 2 wives, all of them will fight for even for a small flower. His family was also not very, happy. He had a lot of problems at home. His brother was a drunkard. One of the best drunkard was his brother. So all the problems of today were also there in the God's families earlier. That's what we should understand. So it is not peace out of peace, peace out of violence, peace out of trouble. Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre. The Kurukshetra, as far as the blind man is concerned, his Dharmakshetram, but he is blind and his Dharma is different. That is Kurukshetra. For him, Dharmakshetra is Kuruvamsha's Dharma. But then Krishna says Kuruvamsha's Dharma is not Dharmakshetra. Kshetre, Kshetre, Dharmam Kuru. My idea is to create your the Kuruvamsha itself with the full of Dharma, because you are not in Dharma. It's a beautiful story. So every problem has to be there. I am sure that is why in the beginning I said the poets are much more higher than the rishis. They had the drishti and they had the srishti also. They know what is going to happen in the next Treta Yuga. They start writing in Treta Yuga. In Dwapara Yuga, what will happen? They can predict, therefore, that the rest is given to the next Kavi, next poet. Because they are connected. They are connected by Vidara. Good enough? Yamini has any question today? You are on video. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Actually, there are
Very enlightening. Good discussion.
Or we will postpone it for the next session. It's already 6 o'clock, almost 5:50.
Oh,
yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can post when you want a session, then we can decide then and there.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
That is how we do.
So we can continue with this mythology maybe one session more.
Hopefully, yes. Because there are speakers like Lakshmi Kant and all. He wanted to have Lakshmi Kant ji. When you wanted to speak, you can tell me the date. Then we will fix on that day.
Sir, next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Do we want to have it 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
5.
So Sunday 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'll join you in this room.
Yes, madam.
Yeah.
Yesterday I have seen that Puri Jagannath's philosophical relevance. Lord Jagannath Rathayatra. That is beautifully organized.
Yeah.
A lot of things are there.
That is over.
So,
Yes,
yeah, that is over.
that is
Yeah.
it.
So last 2 days we had a Sanskrit seminar, and tomorrow is again, that is continuing from morning 10 to 12.
Yes, sir.
And
I have joined.
tomorrow is my presentation on scientific heritage.
Okay.
Yes, today also I joined, but I saw that you were not there, so that's why I.
No, but today also there was we get lot of points from different speakers, and most of them speak pure Sanskrit.
Yes, pure Sanskrit was there.
Yeah, because it is run by Sanskrit department. Many Sanskrit departments, their teaching is through English, but they make sure that they speak. And that coordinator Unnikrishnan is a great friend of mine.
Sir, after this, I would like to take one question from you, that how to be a good teacher.
All of you are good teachers, yeah.
Oh, sir, I just want to learn something. So, how to be a good teacher? What are the qualities?
Many of my lectures on teaching, probably I must have taught more than 8 lakhs of teachers. Become director of an academic staff college. Most of my lectures are E effective and A effective. How do you become effective and effective? That is what I teach. Teach from the heart. See, I am talking from my heart. It just comes. So that is what makes you a good teacher. So then it reaches into the heart of people. That's what will happen.
Sir, one more thing, sir, just last.
Yeah.
I just want to ask. Sir, who inspired you to write the biodata of Lord Krishna, and is it inclusive?
It is it's only one page. So we used to have a lot of fun because we used to have a satsang with BTech children. So how do I tell them the story of Krishna? So it is only like a biodata is like a introduction which you can give before lecture. You will ask biodata, right? It's not even a curriculum vitae. It's like a CV written by somebody. I can expand upon it. That is very simple. To write on Krishna is very simple. But many poets have written from different perspective. If life permits, if time permits, I think we can write
Sure, sir.
pages together on Krishna himself.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Yeah, but that is only a small fund. I'll tell you, that's only a small fund. And similarly, we have a lot of different fund, which probably there is another thing which comparing our different gods equivalent to the government system. We have got a finance department, Lakshmi. We have got an education minister. We have got everybody is given one portfolio. And we made a beautiful picture on that. So we used to have a lot of fun with the mythology, God system, seeing it in the perspective of the modern era, the ministry of gods. The link is also put already. It is there on the chat. You can copy on the chat, or probably I can put all of them into when the video is ready, I will put all of them into my comment group also. What I suggest is all the satsang what we are having, though we have only very less people here, it is being seen by many people. And it will be much better if you can share it across different people, so that many people will learn. That is the beauty of this digital activity, right? So pranams to everybody. We
Thank
will
you so much, sir.
we will be punctual. It's a beautiful subject, you see. Jayanti just put it. We thought we will not discuss it on 25th, though it's good that we started somewhere.
I put something which I want to learn, but as I said that others can also suggest. Okay, I just.
Yeah, we learned different aspect, Otherwise, where do we get a business aspect of mythology?
Yes, sir, that is true. That is. It was beautifully presented by her.
Yeah.
So, thank you, sir.
Okay, God bless you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Bye.